Shalom. I want to start this off by giving all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Kakwadash. Peace and salutations to the elect men of Israel, starting with the elder apostles of GMS on down to the rest of you other brothers who are diligently pushing forth the will and doctrine of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, in all faith, truth, and sincerity, according to the true understanding of the scriptures. To all of you, I say, Shalom. Shalom, 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 which is peace be unto you. Right? And this lesson just inspired, by a conversation I just had, and I just woke up, but, the conversation I had was just tailored towards, exhorting and trying to speak life into someone, speaking life in the people, and it just made me think of this scripture, right? Because this is one that had came to mind within the conversation, and it really just brought me joy and comfort, throughout the conversation, but after with the conversation being over, if you will, just knowing that the Lord's word, is alive and is living, and it lives through you. And those of you that are diligently working, are diligently seeking the Lord and looking to get yourselves right while we still can, And speaking for myself, that's what it did for me. It just it made me happy and grateful that the Lord's word, comes to me in the times that it's needed, which is really all the time, but more specifically in those moments where, you're looking to help somebody else, or you're down yourself, and it comes in a slew of different ways, whether it be, yourself or just through the spirit, through brothers, men that the Lord has set up, But it just made me think about our job, just as the Lord spoke life into existence, and how he constantly spoke life into us, into our people, right? We ought to do the same, and just jumping straight into it, right? How it says here in Proverbs 18 and verse 21, it says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. You see? So is what we constantly going to speak that's either going to make us or break us, And that doesn't have to be just specifically outwardly, but also inwardly too, And within your meditations and your thoughts. All right, that's one of the quickest ways Satan gets to people, It's through it's through it's through your thoughts, it's through your mind and your meditations and things like that, And with us being mindful of what it is that we're thinking about, what thoughts are coming to mind, we got to make sure that we're constantly promoting life, within ourselves and with how we speak to others, But it says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. You see, and in the NLT it says the tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. You see, so you want to make sure you're talking that life talk, You know, the talk within the Lord's word that's gonna promote and push life. You know, and it also just makes me think of what it says here. I believe, therefore have I spoken. It says 2 Corinthians 4:11, for we which live are always delivered. For we which live are always delivered unto death for Hamashiach's sake. No, this ain't it. What am I thinking of? Oh, verse 13, Salakia. Jumping the gun here. But shoot, I can keep reading. It says, that the life also of Hamashiach might be made manifest in our mortal flesh. Yeah, it's beautiful. It says, so then death worketh in us, but life in you. It says, we having the same spirit of faith, according as it is written, I believed, and therefore have I spoken. We also believe, and therefore speak. You see? Knowing that he which raised up the Lord Yahushua shall raise up us also by Yahushua, and shall present us with you. It says, for all things are for your sakes, that the abundant grace might through the thanksgiving of many redound to the glory of God. You see? It says, for which cause we faint not, but through our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. You see? Man. And this is just beautiful. Because it's, again, what you speak, right? We are, as the scriptures go on to say, the light of the world, you know? We got to make sure that we hold on to that savor, you know? The nourishment of the Lord's word, the fullness of the Lord's word, you know? That comfort that's in the Lord's word, right? Like, what comes to mind is the Most High, you know? Yahweh, and like you read in Genesis, you know, the Lord, he spoke the world into existence, into creation, you know. He said, let there be light, and there was light, right? So what we speak is got to be of life, you know. It can't be of death, right? Satan's going to try to promote death. Satan's going to try to have you speak of death. We can't speak of death. We have to speak of life, you know, because it's through the tongue, it's through what we speak that he's either going to make or break us, you know. Like if you're speaking on a vision that you want to what's the word I'm looking for, that you want to fulfill, right? Or something that you're trying to execute, that you're trying to make happen, you know. You speaking on it just as Yahushua spoke on it, you know. How he had said, let me get, because I read this the other day. Looking it up on my other phone here. Yeah, real quick. Let me just, so I can save that thing. Go to Matthew 16 and verse 23. It says, but he turned, or no, Salaki, let me go up here. It's verse 21. Yep. This is Matthew 16 verse 21. It says, from that time forth began Yahushua to shew unto his disciples how that he must go to Salak, how he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised again the third day. You see? And it says in the NLT, from then on, Yahushua began to tell his disciples plainly that it was necessary for him to go to Jerusalem, and that he would suffer many terrible things at the hands of the elders, the leaders, the leading priests, Salak, and the teachers of religious law. He would be killed, but on the third day he would be raised from the dead. You see? So he was speaking those things into existence because, again, he had said, what, in John 4:34, my meat is to do the will of the Father that sent me, you know? And that's all, that's exactly what he was speaking. It was exactly what he went on to do, exactly what he went on to manifest, you know? And though these things were tough, like though these things weren't easy at all to deal with, right? Even in the moment where the Lord asked the Lord, even when Yahushua asked the Lord to take the cup away from him, you know, a moment of him knowing what had to be done, and with him knowing what had to be done, and what had to happen, you know. He still knew this needs to happen to fulfill his will, you know, the Most High's will, right? But again, the things he spoke were the things that he went on to make manifest, that he made to happen, you know? So that's why, you know, we got to make sure that we are constantly speaking life into ourselves and into others, you know, with you speaking life into yourself, right, which is really staying in the Lord's word, right? You're able to speak life into others, in other people's lives, you know? And that's what's so beautiful about it. That's what's so comforting about it, you know? For me specifically, I say, like, it's the moments of being able to speak to others and you know, help them, because that's a part of our job, that gives me joy, that gives me comfort, that, you know, puts me at ease, because it lets me know I'm doing what the word says to do, you know. Which this is one of my favorite scriptures, you know. Matthew 5:16, it says, "Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." You know, because it says what in verse 14? Again, it says, "Ye are the light of the world, a city that is set on a hill that cannot be hid." You see? So we are to let our light so shine before men, and the way that we do that is by speaking this word, you know, and speaking it into existence to where we go on to do it, you know, take action, prove it, get the results, you know, because you speaking it and living it is how you go on to show those works, you know, right? And you living it is you giving heed, giving, you know what I'm saying, attendance to the Lord's word, meditating on the Lord's word, reading, you know, asking questions, right, and seeking more knowledge from him, you know. That's how you make those good works of the Lord, right? And that's why it says, I'm getting this right too, John 9:4. Yep. It says, "I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work." You know, it says, verse 5, "As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world." You see? So we also that light, you know? Our light is to help give those that are without eyes the ability to see, you know? Because that's what the Lord did for us. He gave us the ability to see. So we know what path we are to take, so we know what we need to do, right? And with us now knowing, we can help others to know what they need to do, you know? This world pushes death. This wicked world, you know, the world of Esau, Edom, right? This world that's ran by Satan, right? Demons and many deceivers, right? Many many wicked doers, evil doers, you know. It pushes death. But that's why we got to do our job to push and promote life, you know. And we go through the things that we go through so that way we know, so that way we know what's good. We know what's right, you know. We've been through the bad so that way we know what bad is, so that way we know, okay, we need to do the opposite of this, you know. Okay, I see the Lord's word speaks about this. Oh, okay, this is what this is. Okay, this is what that is, you know. You proving the Lord's word, you know, in the spirit and in the flesh, you know. The words you speak, right, coming from the spirit, and the actions you do, you know, you do in the flesh. They're hand in hand, so you got to make sure that, you know, they're aligned with the Lord's word, you know. Salakia. So let me go back to that 2 Corinthians. Is it 16? Excuse me. It says what? Again, 2 Corinthians 4, verse 16. It says, for which cause we faint not, but through our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. You see? And the way that we renew ourselves day by day is through the Lord's word. Speaking in life, you know? And eating the fruit thereof, that's of life. Not of death, but of life. It says, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. Let me see. It says, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen, you know? And that's that vision, you know, our salvation, right? Being saved, being renewed, being changed into the new bodies, into a new, complete and pure mind, you know, having that ancient wisdom and being made perfect, you know, receiving that crown, receiving the palms, you know, the victory, right? Those are all the things that are a part of the vision, you know, us being saved and protected when all hell breaks loose, you know, seeking to have a strong, austere, and virtuous spirit, confident spirit, a spirit of no faint-heartedness, of no fear, you know, for when things get heated or for when things turn, you know, make a turn for the worse, or the moments that the Lord chooses to prove you in your spirit, you know, to make sure that you got your head on a swivel, you know, you actively seeking it, you know, you actively looking to manifest it, you know, within your spirit and your flesh, you know, and looking for the Lord to give you that increase, to make it happen, to make it your reality, you know, give you that spiritual strength, you know. Those are the things that you want to be striving for, you know, hoping for, looking to make, you know, a reality, you know. Those things are of life. So you want to speak those things into yours, you know? It says, for the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal, you know? So that's pretty much the point. You know, again, it says, you know, verse 13, we have in the same spirit of faith, according as it is written, I believed, and therefore have I spoken. You see, we also believe and therefore speak. So we got to make sure that that's what we're doing, speaking this word of life into our lives and into the lives of others, you know, the others being those that are to be of the elect, you know, because we're dealing with the hopeful elect, you know. I endure all things for the elect's sake. Go ahead real quick. 2 and 10. Yep. 2 Timothy 2 and 10, it says, therefore I endure all things for the elect's sake, that they may also obtain. You see, may also obtain. So you look into endure all things and be of the elect, and to also obtain what? The salvation which is in Hamashiach Yahushai with eternal glory. You see? With eternal glory. Because he also said, let me see if I can find that real quick. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Matthew chapter 5 and verse 12, it says, rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to start up here. Yep. Man. Yeah, this is beautiful. Yeah, call on Yahweh Shai. It says, Matthew 5 and 1, it says, and seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain. And when he was set, his disciples came unto him, and he opened his mouth, you see, and taught them, saying, mind you, life and death is in the power of the tongue, you know. It says, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. You see? And that shall means this will happen. This is prophecy. But these things are to stand true. The Lord's word does not go out void. The Lord is not a man that he shall lie. Right? So in likeness, Yahweh Shai is the same. You know? His word is not going to go out void. He is not the author of confusion. You know? So these are words to truly believe in, to truly take comfort in, you know? To be filled with. It says, blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. the children of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake. You see, we endure all things for the elect's sake, right? It says, because that's the scripture I was thinking of. It says, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. You see? And this is how you know you following the right footsteps. You know? You doing good for the Lord. You know? All this is just to show forth his glory more, you know? Glorify the Lord more, to show his power, you know? Because in that day, they all going to be confounded. And they going to know, oh, this is the Lord. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, this is the Lord, you know? This is the Most High. This is the one true power, right? It says, verse 13, ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt have lost its savor, you see, and part of that savor is that life that we speak, you know? It says, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world, a city that is set on a hill that a city set that is set on a hill cannot be hid. You see? It says, neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. You see? Don't hold back. Don't refrain from not correcting the things that's of death, the things that are spoken of death, you know, whether it be within your mind or around you, you know? And I don't mean that, you know, you go on to, you know, curse a Edomite out, you know, and get yourself jacked up, but that could be you moving around how you need to, you know? So that way it doesn't affect you, you know? You don't want to do nothing to obscure that light that's within you, you know? It says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. You see? So that's really it, you know? Lord willing, the point has been proven. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. You know? I'll get that again. What was it? Proverbs 18 and 21. Yep. It says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. You see? So, speak of that life and eat the fruit of life, you know? And speak the fruit of life into others, all for the Lord's sake. So with that, I'm going to say, Kal Halam La, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Wahawah Kakwadash. Till next time, I say Shalom.